Hey everybody, how you doing? Time for another video. So, my last two videos are very theological, um, which ironically this one is also, but it's less abstract. This is actually just about stuff that I know. Yay! I've done plenty of videos like this before, but I like to keep it fresh because I'm constantly learning things and I like to share what I've learned with you because information is not mine to keep, it is for mine to give. Just came up with that out of my ass, so I hope you like that too. So I don't like doing really philosophical videos just because they always incite a lot of like controversy, and when I bring these things up in front of like friends of mine or um, people that I meet, there tends to be pretty heated arguments, and I don't like to argue, keep it fresh, keep it cool, just like whatever. Anyway, so this video, while ironically possibly even more theological, is less based on opinion. This is based on what I know. So, this video is about spirits. I know, you're probably locking off right now, just don't do it quite yet. So, spiritual beings have been around our world, and all the other ones too, forever. Or pretty much forever, at least. And it all starts off, and again, religious disclaimer here, this is not about religion, this is about what I know. It all starts out with some kind of divine creative being that I'm just representing with a infinity symbol, just because there's really no other way to describe it. It's everywhere, it's everything, in everything, even the bad things, which is kind of weird. Um, it's all around us. It is everything. It created everything. I always call it love, just because it's really the best way I can describe it. Um, in Hinduism, there's I'll get to that in a minute. Right. So this being exists outside of time, outside of space. It is this just incredible, powerful thing. There's really no words to describe it other than awesome, and even then, it's a bit of a disservice. So for whatever reason, and I will not know this, and as Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy put this, he creates the universe, and this has been considered a bad move by a lot of people. um, I'm just kidding. Some people do, not me. Right, so he creates this um, expanse, the multiverse, where every single universe exists. I'm guessing that he started out with the heavenly realms or heavenly dimensions, of which, and this is often debated by others, I just say the seven heavens, seven different dimensions of spiritual existence that are generally speaking good. They're not um, harmful, though they do have harmful beings in them, but they're not innately harmful. They're kind of like a good place. Um, yeah, it's weird. Don't worry about that part. We'll get to that part in another video. Um, so, to regulate all of his universes, and the way I think about it is, you have God, or I don't want to call him God. That's just, the creator, okay, um, creates everything. He's this creative, constantly creative being. Not too much of a destroyer or anything else. He's just this thing who just pushes out everything, almost like a tree. Everything comes from him or her or it. Everything is woven out of it. In like Norse mythology, there's this large cosmic tree called Yggdrasil. And Yggdrasil provides everything for the gods, for men, for monsters, for everything. Um, and it really doesn't get much in return. um, but there's these three women called the Norns who take care of the tree. And the Norns are kind of what I would consider, in the metaphor, to be angels or spiritual beings. So the creator makes everything. He makes a lot of dead, inert matter, just like this marker. it's inert. It has no will of its own. But on planets, on worlds, in the vast expanse of the cosmos, he creates these things and he has laws that he wants to keep. He, she, it. I'm using he. I'm sorry if that offends anyone. That's just um, patriarchal society talking through me. So please don't get offended. He, he makes all of these things work, and he has these laws that he wants to keep. So he makes the spiritual beings. There are spiritual beings. In fact, I have a book, and the book isn't all that accurate, but it does kind of get across the point of um, what's going on. And I'm not advocating this book or defending it or whatever, but the Book of Angels is something that I picked up because it looked really cool, and it's like a 12-year-old kid's book about angelic stuff, but it brings up some really interesting points. So, and it kind of got this part right. So you have like three spheres of influence that angels deal with. So there are angels of the divine, angels that exist outside of most of the bounds of universe. They're kind of always with the Creator, and they're always praising Him, giving Him things, keeping His laws, and from Him directly, they share their knowledge to all the other spheres of influence. These are the really most difficult to understand because they're very abstract in general. Um, these angelic beings are so far away from what we understand as humanity that it's kind of really difficult to talk about them. Um, they're powerful, they are terrifying, but we don't really get to deal with them too often because they're so far away from humanity that we almost never get to experience them, even after death. Um, so yeah, pretty interesting. So then, next level down, you have angels of the cosmos. And so the way that I think of the angels of the cosmos is they're these divine angels who are dealing with things that are outside of all reality as we understand it. And then there are angels who are inside of those different realities, all those different spheres of influence, all dealing with different things. We deal with these a little bit more than you'd think. And you know how like your mom is the hand that rocks the cradle? These are the hands that rock the universe, that rock the galaxies, move the planets in the way they're supposed to go. In modern science, we call things gravity, and we don't really understand exactly what that means. We know that A is attracted to B via their mass divided by the distance squared, but why? Why does that happen? Is it just because, and in the 18th century, there was this, 17th and 18th century, there was this thing called deism, which basically said that God sets the universe in motion, he's the big divine clockmaker, and then he just leaves. He sets all this stuff in motion, it's going to operate the way it's going to operate, and then just leaves. Um, and no. The spiritual beings are equivalent to the programs in a computer that make the computer work. If you have like a cell phone or an iPad, or even if you have to have a computer, which I'm guessing you do if you're watching these videos, um, you click on F on a word processor and it shows up an F. And we know that pressing F equals F on word processor because it does it. But what really makes that happen? What's the action behind it? Um, and that's what a spirit does. It's a program. It's taking information from the divine, which I guess is you in the sense of the computer, and transmitting it to the mainframe, or transmitting it to the program that you're working on. So angels are or spiritual beings. I don't like calling them angels, just because not all of them are particularly angelic. They're always in the background. And so these cosmological angels are specifically ordained with the task of taking things that are divine, posing them directly into the universe. In fact, there's an order of angels. I always forget the name. It's the powers. So the powers are a group of angels who monitor the border of the spiritual and the physical. So powers kind of let things through and let things back in. They're kind of like the Divine Guard. And they're pretty important in that sense. And those are kind of like the closest thing that humanity has to a spiritual upper level being. So those are the cosmological angels. Now the ones that we deal with the most, which are not necessarily the least powerful, but just the least terrifying, are the Earth Angels. Not like that cheesy song from the 50s, like um, Angels of Storm or Angels of Forest. They are spiritual beings who are innately connected to the world and the way it works. Um, some are less powerful than others, some are more powerful than others. So you might have a ton of spirits all working under this mountain to make sure that it works the way it works, all doing things differently, all creating these wonderful things. Um, and yeah, we don't usually see them. And then there's like a ton of those, you don't even know their names. Then there's one huge spirit in the sky that is, shooting out lightning bolts. And the interesting thing about that is that these spiritual beings do not necessarily have to interact with man, although many do, and they don't have to abide by the divine will. They are supposed to, but beings that they are so close to Earth, and beings that they are so innately cannot, or not necessarily Earth, but all planets, they are innately connected to humanity, it kind of rubs off. Kind of like when you have like a group of friends, and you start to notice that you're doing things the way that they do them. It's kind of like that. And while this is not always the case, it has always been the case that a human being will mistake a spiritual being for something divine. In the case of those really powerful earthbound spirits, we often think of them as gods, which is not really a bad description because they are very powerful, and this is kind of how magic works, beseeching those spirits to do things. Um, that's, again, time for another video, but um, these spirits tend to be very powerful, and they are revered by humanity because while God is, or sorry, not God, while the Creator is outside of everything, these are the beings that are interacting with us personally. Um, we have guardian spirits that watch over us, and then we have huge atmospheric spirits that are creating windstorms and tornadoes and nice weather. We beseech these things, we have for centuries, because they are the closest thing we interact with on a daily basis to the divine. And there are spirits everywhere. Um, there are also spirits who are in charge of the forest, tiny things that seem minuscule. We often confuse these, or in times past we've called these elves or fairies, and there are billions of different kinds of spirits. Each one is innately different and strange looking, and that's just kind of the coolest way to put it, is all these things are, it's like a zoological spiritual disaster. There's just billions of them, they all look different, we all interact with them differently. They're all harmed or they're all affected by the same things, namely faith, magic, which are very intertwined, and cold iron. Um, and yeah, all these things are just, it's incredible. It really is when you think about it. And all these things are in the background doing things that we don't even see. They just happen. When wind blows, okay, like if you walk outside and the wind's blowing, a spirit is doing that. It's literally right in front of you doing it. And that's pretty powerful stuff to think about, and it's sort of unbelievable in a way, and I can totally get where you're coming from with that. Um, but from what I can tell you, it's there. Now, the spirit is doing what it's supposed to be doing. We shouldn't know it's there, at least those of us who really have the blinders on. Psychics, people with enhanced perceptions, they can see these things a lot better than we can. But usually these things are not in front of us at all times. They're not If they're doing what they're supposed to be doing, just like in the computer metaphor, we shouldn't even know they're there. Things just happen because we're doing them. Kind of like if you've been typing for a while, you don't even think about the whole process. It's just type this, that goes in, da 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 da. And that's sort of because while the angels and the spirits and everything are important, they're not really the most important thing, which is, of course, the person who created them. And he also lives in them too, just as he lives in us. Every living thing has a divine spark in it. It's just that some things are conscious, and some things are not. And these things are definitely conscious. They're just set. They have a innate purpose, and they have no free will to speak of, really. They can try and decide things for themselves, but it really doesn't change them, with the exception of a few really incredible examples. So that's how the spiritual world interacts with the physical world and how incredible it is, and I know it's mind-blowing, but of course, as a hunter, I have to bring up why we do know they're there. And that is demonic or corruptive forces. So let's just start off with a really quick story. There are six, so far as we know, six original, powerful, angelic beings. And they were kind of like the kings of their trade. One sec. It's not alcohol, I promise. Anyway, so we have Michael, Gabriel, Raphael, Uriel, Azrael, and Samael. Each one of these is their own heaven that they guard over. Every single one of them acts as a powerful being who rules over a host of angels, or spiritual beings. And so this is just the first time there was ever a rebellion, but one of the angels, Samael, whose name, really it's the name that we gave them. None of these names really mean anything. They're more like titles than they are actual names. But they mean something to us, and that's goes into magic, but I'll get into that later. So Samael leads this revolt in heaven after God creates humanity. Now that there's this being that the divine, or that the Creator holds to be more beautiful than angels or spiritual beings who are just incredible, who are so lifelike and so powerful, Samael doesn't like that. So he leads this revolt, he challenges his brothers, he challenges the Creator, and he is swiftly struck down. On his way to where he's supposed to go, he takes well, I wasn't there, so I can't give you the full scoop, but he either took the form of a snake or possessed a snake, as all spiritual beings are capable of doing, and then did what he considers, I'm sure, to be his greatest accomplishment, which is that he defiled the human before the Creator. He literally is the one who is responsible for death in humanity. Yay. Well, not really responsible, but he is innately connected to death in humanity. And this, again, was not the first revolt that ever happened. There was another group of angels later on, known as the Grigori, or the Watchers. And a lot of times, the reason why these beings turn sour is because they're spending too much time around humanity. Because humanity is supposed to have free will, we're supposed to make bad choices, we're supposed to make good choices, and it rubs off on the spiritual poorly. They get corrupted easily because they're kind of like white, like the color white. Like if you ever had like a white car, it just gets dirty so easily. They're so pure that they really pick up dirt well. And not that we're dirty, but we're just not supposed to be with them. It almost sounds racist, but it's really the way things are supposed to be. When we die, when we're spiritual completely, and we go to the heavenly planes of existence, that's different. as fallen beings on this earth, we innately corrupt things that are pure, just because that we are capable of being corrupted, then reverting back to a non-corrupted state. Alright, so I hope you guys like that. Next video is coming up soon. Next video is about magic. Hope you guys like that. If you have any comments, questions, anything, just send them to me by the comment section. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this. So happy hunting. Yeah.